So, what if I told you that every single action you take, the good ones, the bad ones, all of them, is actually building a kind of prison around you? It's a pretty startling idea, right? But it's absolutely central to the concept of karma. In this explainer, we're going to dive into this self-made trap and uncover the one practice that's said to be the only key to breaking free. Just let that sink in for a second. A silkworm weaves its own cocoon, and in the process, it traps itself. This quote suggests we're doing the exact same thing with our karma. The very actions we think are carving our path forward are in reality weaving this intricate web that ends up binding us. It's a fascinating and, a slightly unsettling thought. All right, so if our actions are creating this web, what are the threads actually made of? Well, that brings us to our first section, where we're going to explore exactly how this web of karma gets woven and how it really comes to define our entire existence.
And that's the real puzzle here, isn't it? If we're the ones weaving the web, why on earth do we seem so hopelessly tangled up in it? To really get that, we need to look closer at the mechanics of this whole karma trap. See, this isn't about one mistake you made last week or one good thing you did yesterday. The source describes it as a rope of karma, a kind of debt that builds up not just in this life, but over Janam Janmantaran. We're talking countless lifetimes, birth after birth after birth.
Okay, now here is where it gets really interesting, and it might just flip what you thought you knew about karma completely on its head. It's not just our so-called sinful deeds that bind us. The source makes it crystal clear that even our virtuous deeds, the good stuff, create chains. Think about it this way. A chain is a chain, whether it's made of rusty iron or shimmering gold. It still holds you back. The very act of doing is what forges the bond. So if every single action, good or bad, adds another link to that chain, just try to imagine how long that chain gets over all those lifetimes. It's staggering. And that leads us to the sheer scale of the problem, which the source calls a vast mountain of sin.
Now, to really get a feel for this immense scale, the source quotes this ancient verse. It might just sound poetic at first, but the weight behind these words is, well, it's massive. Let's break down what this mountain of sin really means.
Yeah, this phrase isn't just some poetic flourish. It's a metaphor for a debt so enormous it feels completely insurmountable. Our total karma is pictured as a mountain that stretches for yojans, which is an ancient way of saying a distance so vast you can barely even wrap your head around it. That's the scale of the problem we're dealing with. So, if we're standing at the foot of this impossibly huge mountain that we built ourselves, is there any hope of ever clearing it? The source says yes, absolutely. And that brings us to the most crucial part of this whole discussion, the sole solution, known as the anyog.
I mean, that's the natural question, right? If the debt is literally mountain-sized and it was built over countless lifetimes, how could we possibly clear it? The source is incredibly direct on this point. It offers one single definitive answer.
And that one answer is Dhyan Yoga, or meditation yoga. And look, it's not presented as just one option among many. The source is emphatic, calling it the ekmatra, the one and only method that is powerful enough to completely destroy this mountain and finally shatter the chains we've forged for ourselves. The conviction here is just absolute. Listen to this powerful claim from the source. There has never been anything equal to it for destroying this. So Dhyan isn't just positioned as, a helpful tool. It's described as the unmatched, unparalleled force for liberation from our karmic web. So let's pull all of this together. We've basically journeyed from understanding this deep problem of karmic bondage all the way to discovering the promise of freedom. Let's do a quick recap of the path. So here it is, the whole journey in 3 simple steps. First, we're all trapped in a web that we made ourselves, a web built from both our good and our bad deeds. Second, over countless lifetimes, this web creates a mountain of karmic debt. And finally, third, Dhyan Yoga, meditation, is put forward as the one unique force powerful enough to demolish that mountain and finally set us free. Which leaves us with one last, really provocative thought to chew on. If a lifetime of doing is what builds our prison, could it be that a moment of pure being, that profound stillness you find in meditation, is the only key that actually works the lock? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.